When I first stepped into instructional design, I honestly thought it would look something like this. Designing beautiful slides, picking fancy tools, and of course, everyone loving my courses. But instead, I encountered endless revisions, briefs that made absolutely zero sense, and me Googling, what even is a learning objective at 2 in the morning? Yeah, welcome to Instructional Design. If you're just starting out in the field of instructional design, I have 2 pieces of news for you. The good one, mistakes are completely normal. The tricky one, some of them can quietly steal months of your time. So in this video, I will share the 9 mistakes I made, the ones I really wish someone had warned me about earlier. If you're new here, hi, I'm Anna Polly. I've been creating e-learning for almost 10 years now, and trust me, I've learned most of these lessons the hard way. Stick around if you're thinking about joining the field, recently transitioned from teaching, or feel like you're going in circles. And just a quick note before we dive in. This is a brand new channel and videos will be coming out weekly. So if it feels a bit empty right now, that's totally normal because we are just getting started. Here's a quick spoiler. I'm not going to talk about things like don't use walls of text or avoid bright red text on a neon yellow background. We are going one level higher to address the mindset level mistakes that shape how you approach projects, work with the business, and build your career. In this video, you will learn why expensive tools don't magically turn you into a senior e-learning designer, how perfectionism slows you down way more than you think, and what tiny habits can speed up your career growth. I decided to split all the mistakes into 3 parts because they are very different. There are mistakes related to how you think as an instructional designer, mistakes about how someone actually works and runs projects, and mistakes about your career and long-term growth. So let's start with the first part. This part is all about how you see yourself in this profession. And I know it sounds fluffy, but these mistakes shape everything else. How you talk to SMEs, how you scope projects, how much you overload yourself. Everything. Mistake number 1 is thinking you're just the person who makes slides. When I started out, I genuinely felt like my job was to, make things look nice. My SME would hand me a huge deck and I would think, okay, my job is to clean it up, make it pretty, animate a few things, and that's instructional design, right? No. If you think you are the slide person, you automatically put yourself at the bottom of the project chain. You stop challenging the brief, you don't ask why this course exists, and you end up just decorating information and hoping it magically turns into learning. And the worst part? You're still responsible for the result, even though you were never involved in the thinking process behind it. As an instructional designer, your job isn't to make slides. Your job is to solve a problem. Once you shift into that mindset, everything gets easier. Conversations, timelines, expectations, and even the creative part. And the second mistake flows directly from the first one. When you see yourself as a slide person, you automatically start thinking, who am I to question the brief? So you accept everything as is. You nod, smile, and say, sure, we can do that. Even when half of it makes no sense. I used to be terrified to ask him clarifying questions. I didn't want to sound inexperienced, and I definitely didn't want the SME to think I didn't understand the topic. But here's the truth I learned the hard way. If you don't ask questions early, you'll be fixing the consequences later. I once had a project where the SME handed me a 70-slide deck and said, just turn this into an online course. And I thought, okay, sure. But halfway through development, I realized that covered 3 different processes, and learners only needed one. If I had just asked, who exactly is this for? What do you want people to be able to do after this? And is all this relevant? I would have saved 2 weeks of my life. Maybe 3. Asking questions doesn't make you look unqualified. It makes you look like a professional who cares about doing the project right. The third mistake is probably the most painful one from my early years, saying yes to everything. A new project? Yes. A quick little update that's actually a full rebuild? Sure. A last-minute request that should have been planned 2 months ago? Also yes. If you're a new instructional designer, you want to be helpful, prove yourself, and make people think, whoa, she is reliable. I used to be that person. The problem is, when you say yes to everyone else, you say no to your own time, energy, and sanity. I remember one quarter where I agreed to every single thing that landed in my inbox. By the end of it, I was juggling 5 projects, working late nights, and guess what? No one was impressed. Most urgent requests are only urgent because someone else didn't plan. And their lack of planning should not become your emergency. I promise you, the moment you start setting boundaries, people don't lose respect for you. They show more respect. That's because you show whether you understand scope and protect the quality of your work. Okay, we are moving on to the second block of mistakes, the working process. If the first block was about how you see yourself as an instructional designer, this one is about how you actually run projects every day. Mistake number 4 is turning with content instead of behaviors or root causes. It usually looks like this. Someone sends you a deck or a document and says, "Can you turn this into an online course?" And as a new ID, you jump straight into content. You open the slides, organize sections, and maybe even start building screens. I did this all the time early in my career. It feels productive. You're busy and you're moving fast. But that's a trap. You can build a beautiful course that solves the wrong problem. Because content is almost never the real issue. Behavior is. People don't follow a process, don't make the right decisions, or they don't know when to apply what they already know. So now, before I touch any content, I ask one question. What do people need to do differently after this? The answer can lead you to a course, practice, checklist, or job aid. And sometimes, honestly, it leads to the realization that training won't fix this at all. And that's a win, because building the right solution is always better than building the wrong course faster. Mistake number 5 is waiting for the perfect course and avoiding pilots. Early in my career, I treated every course like a final exam. I wanted everything to be polished and approved by everyone before a single learner ever saw it. But no matter how experienced you are, you're still making assumptions about the audience, their context, and what will actually help them on the job. I worked on projects where we spent weeks refining content, structure, even microcopy. And the first pilot immediately showed that learners were getting stuck in completely different places than we expected. Then you skip pilots, you don't reduce risk, you postpone it. And they usually make course production more expensive. At some point, I stopped thinking of the first version as the course. It's just a hypothesis. Now I aim to release something small, test it with learners, and see where they hesitate, what they skip, what confuses them, and then iterate based on their behavior. This is actually why I started doing crash tests on the channel. This is a series of videos where I break down courses sent by e-learning developers, their instructional logic, accessibility, and design, and improve them in real time. If you're curious to know how small changes can completely shift the learning experience, I would really recommend watching it. I will leave the link below. There is one more mistake I see a lot, especially early in the ID career. When a course doesn't land the way you expect, it's very tempting to blame the tool. I remember thinking, maybe I just need something more complex, more advanced. In reality, heavy, over-engineered tools just slow you down. You get overwhelmed by features you don't actually need yet, get stuck in a cluttered interface, and spend too much time trying to build something. Your first projects take forever, and the result often isn't as good as you hope. I've tried a lot of different tools, trust me, and I can say this pretty confidently. Extra complexity will not help you grow faster or make your projects better. Believe it or not, I still build most of my projects in the same tool I started with, Iceberg Suite. It works right inside PowerPoint, which means I can focus on structure, logic, and practice instead of fighting the interface. And it still gives me everything I need for multimodal learning. Quizzes, branch course logic, decision-making simulations, and quick SCORM expert without unnecessary complexity. So my biggest piece of advice is this. Choose an authoring tool that helps you move fast and iterate, not one that promises magic and endless features that you are not even sure you will use. That's how your progress actually becomes faster. Okay. The last part of mistakes I wanted to talk about is professional growth. These mistakes don't usually break a single project. Instead, they quietly slow your career down over time. You keep working, but stay on the same level with the same type of tasks year after year. And the first mistake in this blog is a big one. How many of you actually keep a portfolio ongoing? Not just when you're about to look for a new job or project. Share in the comments, I would really like to know. Most instructional designers don't. And I didn't either for a long time. We finish a project, move on to the next one, and assume we will remember it later. But later comes, and suddenly everything blends together. You remember being busy, but not the decisions you made, the problems you solved, or the impact of your work. If you don't document your project, you lose visibility for recruiters, managers, stakeholders, and even yourself. At some point, I started treating documentation as part of the job. Nothing fancy, just the problem, the solution, and what I would do differently next time. That habit pays off every time you need to explain your value, ask for growth, or reflect on your own progress. Mistake number 8 is learning only through courses. Don't get me wrong, courses are great. I still take them myself. But they give you clean, idealized scenarios. Real work is messier. Some of my biggest professional shifts didn't come from courses at all. They came from conversations with other IDs, watching how they approach problems, and seeing real projects fail. When you learn in isolation, your growth slows down. You don't see alternative approaches, don't sanity check your decisions, and start thinking that your challenges are somehow unique, which they are not. That's actually why I really value professional communities. For example, we have Iceberg Learning Exchange on LinkedIn, a private space where instructional designers share actual projects, ask questions, discuss challenges, and learn from each other's experiences. If you want to grow faster and feel less alone in this field, feel free to join us. I will leave the link below. But what if you're actually doing everything right? You ask good questions, think about learning impact, learn from others, document your work, and still nothing changes. no bigger projects, no real growth. For a long time, I honestly thought that if I just work hard enough, the results would speak for themselves, and someone would notice and offer the next step. In reality, results don't speak. You do. If you don't talk about your work, your goals, or what you want to try next, people assume you're happy where you are. It's not because they don't value you, but because they don't know. I've seen talented ideas stay at the same level for years, simply because they never asked for bigger projects, ownership, or a different scope. Doing good work is essential, but if you want to grow, at some point you also have to say where you want to go next, and say it out loud. All right, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. If there's one thing I want you to remember from this video, it's this. Making mistakes is normal. Pretending they didn't happen, that's the real problem. Everything else is just experience. Share in the comments, which mistake did you identify with? Or maybe there's one I didn't mention at all? If there's enough interest, we might do a part 2. If you want to go deeper into how I personally create courses using PowerPoint and iSpring Suite, download our free guide. It walks you through the complete process from structuring a course and building a storyboard to creating interactions, quizzes, and scenarios and publishing to an LMS. No theory overload, just practical steps, examples, and decisions you will actually make on the real project. I will leave the link under the video. And definitely check out the crash test playlist on this channel. It's one of the fastest ways to spot issues you might be missing in your own project. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye for now.